Welcome to UBU Hustings 2017. Today we are here to do. What did you just do? Okay. We've had a slight change in the running order today. Today we'll be starting off with home-based students officer, followed by students with dependents, followed by LGBT plus officer, which will be followed by community and welfare officer. Due to some unavoidable circumstances, we've had to change union affairs officer to tomorrow. So there will be 3 full-time positions being done tomorrow. These are the changes. So let's just move on. Just to make a formal announcement, people who are not here and want to virtually listen or watch the UBU election hustings can log on to www.rame.co.uk and listen live through the radio station. They can also log on to www.youtube.com/UBU online. People who want to give in questions, you've got sheets on your chairs who are here. Please write down your questions and hand them over to the table to the elections committee, who will then ask your questions. Tariq. Guys, can I just make a small announcement? Guys, please keep it low. Please keep it low. Thank you. People who would like to tweet in their questions can tweet in their questions using the hashtag UBU elections. People who want to read the manifestos of the candidates, please log on to www.bradfordunisu.co.uk/elections. Tweet in your questions, people. We need your questions to come in. This is your chance to hold the people to account who are running for the next year's leadership team. So, without further ado, let's call on stage the first candidate of tonight. Can I have candidate for home-based students officer on the stage, please? We have on stage Aves Ahmed, who's running as the home-based students officer, and on the ballot sheet will appear a second name called Ron. It's not a person, it's reopened for nomination. If you feel Aves is not good enough, which I highly doubt, but please, you can vote for Ron as well. So Aves, do you know the system? Do you know the format? We'll have 2 minutes of opening speech, followed by questions, some pre-written questions, some questions from the floor, some questions from Twitter and online, and then followed by a 1-minute summation speech. Will that be good enough? Siji, are you ready? Anas, are you ready? Yeah. Okay. Aves, we'll give you 2 minutes of an opening speech now.
Thank you very much. As you know, my name is Aves Ahmed. Currently studying marketing at the University of Bradford, obviously at the School of Management, mainly there. As a student who commutes regularly from Burnley daily, so I know how the students, feel. Firsthand, I understand the hardships that they feel, and also engagement has also been an issue, and I promise to continue the efforts, of my predecessor, and there has been a big problem of forums as well. Forums is, a problem not just for myself, but the other non-SAB, roles as well. Not that many people are attending. So we want to really, push it out. Hopefully I can do that with, support of other non-SAB, roles, whoever is running for that. And also another big issue is lecture timings. There's a big gap between lectures. So that is something that I'd like to tackle as well. I'm perfect for the role, I guess. I've been in council before, I know how it runs, so it shouldn't really be a problem. So yeah, should be all right. Okay.
Thank you, Aves. That was Aves Ahmed with his 1.5 minute of opening speeches. So, before moving on, your first question is, why are you running for this position, Aves? Aves, could you hold the mic a bit closer to your chin, yeah?
Is that okay? Yeah?
Yeah, should be okay.
Thank you. Yeah, so with this position, it was something that I really wanted to do. Carry on. Obviously I'm the mature student officer, as you may know. But I just wanted to carry on, doing these roles. It was, a good opportunity for me, once again, to get, close to the union. and see how it runs. And it's great for my CV as well, I guess, hopefully. So yeah, that's why I want to run. So yeah, that's the one.
All right, thank you, Wes. So, all right, moving on, Wes. Are there any questions from the floor to begin with? None. So, Wes, we'll go on to questions from the pre-written questions. So, your question is, what previous experience do you have with the UBU?
Okay, so as you know, I am the current, mature student officer. So, I did, I was voted in, when the by-elections took place. I've, been trying to do a lot with, the mature students, so the, midwifery, the nursing side of the university, attending councils. So yeah, that's what I've done before, and yeah, should be all right, I guess.
Thank you, Wes. Moving on to the next question. Home-based students tend to engage less with the UBU. Home-based students tend to engage less with the UBU. What would you do to encourage and enable them? And you get a minute to answer this question.
The main thing I would like to do is, get them into forums, get them, active, try and, bring them in forums. That's my main aim. That would be, that's how I'll get them, getting involved and stuff. So yeah, forums would be the main thing that I would do.
Thank you, Wes. Any questions from Twitter? Phil? Cool. I think there's a question from Elections Committee that is coming through. So I'll just move on to the next one. Home-based students may be less able to attend key union meetings due to their engagements at home. Home-based students may be less able to attend key union meetings due to their engagements at home. What do you think can be done about this? And you get another minute to answer this.
I think the timings would be, if it's possible, to rearrange the timings, to suit, them people who, cannot attend. So that would be one way of, tackling it. It may be hard, but, that'll be one way of doing it. So yeah, I guess.
Thank you, Wes. Are there any questions from the floor? None? Sure, guys? Should we just move on to pre-written questions? All right, cool. Okay, there's a question from the Elections Committee. You mentioned that students have a problem with large gaps of time between lectures.
Yeah.
Can you use this time to get students engaged with the union or use the time for studying?
Can you repeat the question, please?
You mentioned that students have a problem with large gaps of timings between lectures.
Yeah.
Can you use this time to get students engaged with the union, or would you rather use the time for studying?
Of course, study is important here. Obviously, that's the first thing that you are obviously meant to get your degree first. But if I can work around it, see if I can do something. But yeah, I'd prioritize obviously the education first, and then obviously the union. So yeah, that'd be something.
Thank you, Wes. That was an interesting answer.
Yep.
Okay. Moving on to your next question. What innovative opportunities can you offer the home-based students to be involved with the UBU that have not been offered before? What innovative opportunities can you offer to the home-based students that have not been offered before so that they can be involved with the UBU?
Okay, interesting that. I'd say days out or something. Maybe days out for them to be involved. Maybe take them out on day trips. Maybe something like that. And then yeah, I guess day trips would be ideal. I think maybe.
Are there any questions from the floor? Floor. None. Okay. So, Wes, moving on to your next question. How will you empower the home-based students forum to be relevant to the constituency they represent? That is home-based students.
Repeat it again, please.
Okay. How will you empower the home-based students forum to be relevant to the constituency they represent?
Rephrase the question.
How can you make the home-based students forum more relevant to the constituency they represent? So basically, the home students like the forum represents home students only, so it's relevant to that. How can you ensure that's done?
Getting them involved again, I guess. Getting them involved in forums. Try and work with other non-sabbatical officers again to try and promote them that they are coming, that they are attending forums. So yeah, that would be one way, I guess.
Thank you. The current home-based student officer has done a fantastic job from what they've done this year. What will you keep and what will you implement that will be new for if elected for the next year? And you get a minute to answer this question.
I'd keep. I guess I'll keep. The pretty much the same as my predecessor. Keep. People trying. The main thing is getting them involved in them forums. So that was a problem. With me and with Faiz. So try and get them. Involved. In that forum. Getting more people. So that would be, obviously through promoting the forums, closer to the due date, when the forum is and stuff like that. So yeah, that'd be one way I'd like to change.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And your last question. Are there any questions from the floor? Just ask him. None. Okay. Your last question before your summation speech is: if you were running for a full-time sabbatical position, what position would you run for and why? And you get a minute to answer this question.
Do I have to answer that?
Yes, you have to. You're not getting rid of any position, don't worry. You just have to choose one. Why, which and why?
There's a lot to choose from, I guess. I'd go for activities officer, because I am very, much involved in the union itself. So, obviously I've got my own radio show, as you may know, setting up stalls, obviously with ITS and stuff with my society. So yeah, maybe that would be ideal.
Cool, thank you, Wes. You now have a minute to do your summation speech. So the time starts now.
Vote for me if you want change. Vote for me, and yeah, that's pretty much it.
Thank you, Wes.
Thank you.
That was Wes Emmett running for home-based students officer. Give him a round of applause, guys, please. All right, just before we move on, making a formal announcement. People listening on the radio, www.rame.co.uk, and people watching Hustings Live can watch it on www.youtube.com/UBU Online. People who want to tweet in their questions who are not here, please tweet them on #UBU Elections. And people who want to watch who want to read the manifestos, it's www.bradfordunisu.co.uk/elections. So let's just move on to the next position. Can I now have on stage the candidate for Students with Dependents Officer, please? Guys, we have on stage Rayana Ahmed, who's rerunning for her position as a non-sabbatical officer, Students with Dependents Officer. On the ballot sheet will appear a second name, Ron again, reopened for nomination. Rayana, are you aware of the format?
I am, yes.
Okay, so let's just begin with your 2 minutes opening speech straight away. Your time starts now.
Good evening, ladies and gents. I'm Rayana Ahmed, the current Students with Dependents Officer. I'm also a second year social work student, and I'm a Students with Dependents myself, so I am fully aware of the issues that students like myself face. And I am also aware that the support available for students with dependents from the union and the university is virtually nil. The issues that I identified a year or so ago when I got elected in the by-elections still stand now, because there was no service, in place for students like myself. I've had to do a lot of research to identify what can be done, what are the needs, who are the service users, and if there's any breaches of any legislations. Now, if I'm voted in again for another year, what it will mean is that my ideas can finally be implemented. One of my motions, which I thought was very important, and it was like a historical issue, and it was being brought up over and over again at the forums, and whenever I was communicating with the students with dependents, was that the exec meetings, exec training events, society events.
Sir, oh, is there? Emily, I'll allow you to go first.
You'll allow me to go first, thank you. So as a mother of three myself, I hold 2 exec roles in the media areas. What are you going to do in terms of either forum or events for students with dependents, either this year, or what have you done previously, because I haven't seen anything?
Right, okay, we have had events, we have been holding forums. Up to now, this academic year, I've been holding forums once every 4 weeks alongside the mature students officer and the home-based officer. Now, what I'm trying to do is set up a breakfast forum every Monday morning, because I'm only in now 1 day a week, that's Monday. So I'm thinking, right, let's make the most of it. Let's offer the most important meal of the day, free of charge, on a Monday morning in the Students' Union. It'll give students with dependents an opportunity to discuss issues and any views in an informal manner. Plus, you'll get a breakfast free of charge, because I can understand we've got a lot of financial issues as well. It's not easy being a student with dependents.
20 seconds, are you done?
Yeah.
All right, okay. Where are you advertising that? Because I haven't seen anything to say that I could go to a forum somewhere, and I'm one of the more engaged students within the union, and
right, okay.
I haven't seen anything.
Right. We had a bit of an issue with advertising. We have been getting posters created, but they have been on our personal Facebook pages. I need to set up maybe a professional Facebook page in which I can add everyone. If you leave me your details, or if I see you after this speech, then we can sort something out. But yeah, definitely getting the message across and advertising the forums has been a bit of an issue, but we'll overcome that.
Emily, I would like to pay testament that this is going on. She just started it, but I think, yeah, you're right. So I would like to agree with that it has started something. Okay, Rihanna, moving on to your pre-written questions. Why are you running for this position?
Like I say, social work and supporting individuals in times of need, and whenever someone needs any support, I'm one of them individuals that is there for everyone, and it's relevant to my long-term career aim, which is, again, like I said, it's social work, and also it's the way I've been brought up, and it's my faith teaches that as well, that you should support each other. It's not just about making something of yourself. You need to build people's confidences up, and you need to support individuals as well.
Thank you, Rihanna. Well done, Shosman. So, moving on to your next question. Students with dependents have a busy schedule. How would you help them interact with the Students' Union?
Right, I've already started on that. It's through social media. Wherever I go, I'm promoting my role. I'm, saying to students that there is a voice there for you. You just need to tap into them services. I'm promoting Students' Union. I'm very, very well connected thanks to the social media. That includes Facebook, LinkedIn. Through LinkedIn, I have had many, many opportunities globally. A lot of individuals and companies are interested in my role. So I think by being on more social media platforms and also making myself, my face and my name, my role known around the university and the union, that really does help. A lot of the students with dependents, I've realised, are on particular courses such as social work, and I'm a social work student. So any sort of newcomers, the first years, any sort of master's students that I've not come across before and I have recently been in contact with, I've again, highlighted my role, and I've said, interact with me. If not anything else, add me on Facebook, and I'll keep you updated with what I'm doing.
Thank you, Rihanna. Rihanna, we have a question from the floor, which has been written to us. If you have been unable to attend council, what made you consider running for this position? You get 1 minute.
Sorry, could you just repeat the question?
If you're unable to attend council,
Yes.
What makes you consider running for this position?
The thing is, voice is important. Just because students with dependents are struggling to attend, union activities, and like myself being a student with dependent, I've over and over again, I've said it, I can't attend the council meetings physically. However, if there's a video link, I'll quite happily attend. If there's other means of communicating, I shall. I've never refused, to communicate with the union. And other people. I've just said, can you just change the way things are and the way practices are? It doesn't mean if you want to participate in a council that you have to be there physically. You can do a video link, why not? And it won't cost anyone anything.
Thank you, Rihanna. So your next question is, what is the biggest issue that students with dependents face on campus?
Basically, we're not a recognised group of students. We're that quiet group of students that simply gets on with things. But that does not mean that we haven't got issues. We make a lot of sacrifices to attend university, and it's as if our sacrifices aren't valued. It should be child-friendly. I can't believe and understand that in the year 2017, there's still not, this campus is not child-friendly. Why not? If you look around at other institutes and see what they do, and we should be ashamed of ourselves. We're way behind.
Thank you, Rihanna. Okay. What are your aims and objectives for the year 2017-18 academic year? How are they different from your role in the last 2 years?
Right. In the last 2 years, it was more about research and getting to know people and what people were doing and making myself known. Now I'm thinking, right, enough's enough. I feel we've been discriminated. Now something needs to be done. More and more motions need to be submitted and passed by the council. I think the push needs to be put on the union and the university that before I finish in 2018, before I graduate, I want to see a difference. I think I'll be a failure if I've been in my post 3 years and there's not been any differences in the practices and the support that's being provided to students with dependents and students also with caring duties. We're simply not recognised. However, we're paying into the service. £9,000, what do we get back in return other than the degree qualification?
Thank you, Anna. Are there any questions from the floor? None? Okay, so moving on. Rihanna, how will you empower your students with dependence forums to be relevant to the constituency that it represents only?
Right, okay. Over and over again, I've identified it's the same issues that are coming up over and over again, like childcare, parking, finances, student finance, timetables. Them issues, I don't think they're going to go away. They're going to keep on popping up. So all I can do is keep on repeating my questions and saying, has anyone got any issues with timetables? Is there anything I can do for you? Is there anything anyone wants to discuss?
Thank you, Rihanna. Right. The next question is, do you have any ideas of alternative forms of childcare arrangements or any other dependence arrangements?
Sorry, could you just repeat the question?
Do you have any ideas for any alternative forms of childcare or dependence arrangements?
On site?
Anywhere. Do you have any other alternative ideas? Maybe on campus.
Right,
yeah.
okay, I'm full of ideas. One of them was, why don't we make use of the students who are DBS cleared? So you could have children's and family students who could maybe have like a babysitting club, quite an informal one in some part of the institute, in which at peak times, at least, there's some sort of a childcare provision in place. Other than that, I firmly believe we need to have a permanent childcare provision on site, because I've heard it's on Lacebridge Lane, but where is Lacebridge Lane?
Thank you, Rihanna. Are there any questions from the floor before I ask my last question and then move on to the summation speech? Are there any questions on Twitter? Phil, did you? Any questions on Twitter? Okay. Rihanna,
Yes?
the last question we are asking all non-sabbatical officers today. If you're running for a full-time sabbatical position
Yeah.
in the future or anything, What position would you run for and why?
Right, I would want to run for the Union Affairs Officer. Reason why, since I've started this university, I felt very oppressed and discriminated. When I first started university, I was scared and I would shy away from entering the office. Reason why, it was occupied by 100% men. And I really felt that, it's just not, it feels as if I'm not invited into this place, into this office. I want to break down them barriers and make everyone aware that if a man can be voted into this post, so can a woman.
That got the loudest clap from the elections committee desk. Thank you. Rana, moving on to your submission speech. You get 1 minute for this and your time starts now.
Right, like I said before, students with dependence are a very valuable group of students that need a voice. Please do vote, and just don't be voting for the sabbatical post. Scroll down and vote for students with dependence. And vote for me. Don't be running me, whatever you do.
That was Rihanna Ahmed running for Students with Dependence Officer. Guys, give her another big round of applause, please. Thank you, Rihanna. Right, tonight looks like a fast-paced, quick night, so don't want to hold you guys for too long. Let's have on stage. Can I please invite on stage the candidate for LGBT plus officer? We have on stage Olivia Brabazon. Is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah.
Olivia. Okay. So Olivia, are you aware of the format?
Yeah.
Yeah. Siji, can we have the timer and you can stop texting? Thank you. All right, Olivia. You get 2 minutes for your opening speech and your 2 minutes begin now.
So hi, I'm Olivia. I'm currently doing a part-time Masters in Peace, Conflict and Development, and this year I've been Secretary of the LGBT Plus Society, and I've enjoyed it so much I want to be the LGBT officer. So I want to be the officer because I want to ensure that no student ever feels that they are searching to find LGBT plus support or events at university. Whether you're starting uni or in your last year, it can be quite daunting at university, and I find that as an LGBT plus individual, it can be even more so. Therefore, I want to make sure that university is as enjoyable as possible for LGBT plus students, and that they don't ever feel like they're looking for somebody to fight their corner. Therefore, I propose to hold drop-in sessions at set regular times so students know exactly where they want to find me and they can meet me anonymously, because there'll be a lot of students at the university who are not out and they need somewhere safe to go. I also want to reinvigorate Forum, and I want to have, attention-grabbing advertising, and I also really want to make sure advertising is getting to the other campus, because, there's going to be gay students on studying law and management. And I want to also have the advertising a week in advance, and I want to develop a relationship with all academic departments so they can, if a student comes to them and talks to them saying, I don't know where to go, I'm gay or I'm a lesbian, they know that they can come to the forum. And it's really important to me that I give LGBT plus students the ability to focus on the issues that they feel are most important. So as well as marking international LGBT plus events and campaigns such as Idaho and LGBT
30 seconds,
plus
Olivia.
History Month, I want to run the campaigns that our students feel are needed. If I'm being the liberation officer for students, it's important that I do what they ask, because otherwise I'm not aiding their liberation.
That was Olivia Brabazon with her 2 minutes of opening speech. Before moving on to questions, just a formal announcement. Guys, listen to these election hustings on www.ramio.co.uk. It is a very important election. It is deciding your next year's leadership team, your sabbatical team. Make sure you're listening. If you're not listening, you can watch the live stream on www.youtube.com/UBU online. And people who are listening already, please tweet in your questions using the hashtag UBU elections. So, Olivia, moving on to your first question, which is the generic question we ask everyone. Why are you running for this position?
So I'm running for this position because LGBT students still haven't got full liberation, whether that's on campus or in the wider world. And, I feel that it's not an impossible thing to achieve. So I think I've got the skills to lead students to find that liberation.
Thank you, Olivia. Are there any questions from the floor before we begin onto the pre-written questions? None? Okay, so moving on. Oh, there is one. Sorry.
Hi, so what kind of issues are you personally particularly caring about and involved with at the moment?
Okay, so one thing I'm particularly bothered about is there's going to be a lot of students on campus who are not out, but who are still worthy and need LGBT plus support. So I want to really make sure that there's a system in place where students can either come to forum and it be completely anonymous, and they're not having to walk in and out of rooms where other people have overbooked the rooms and basically outing themselves, and that there's a one-to-one drop-in session for students who don't even feel comfortable coming to forum, that they can still get LGBT plus support without anybody else knowing that they are LGBT plus.
Thank you, Olivia. So your next question is, what previous experience do you have with the UBU?
Okay, so it's only my first year here, so I can't say loads and loads, but I'm currently the secretary of the LGBT plus society, and I've been the minute taker in the LGBT plus forum. And apart from that, in my old university, I was involved in their union and doing society stuff, but I'm new here.
Thank you, Olivia. Okay. So the next question is, what is your view of the LGBT plus forum, and how would you increase membership significantly in the next year?
Okay, so the forum's really important, especially as I said, it's a place where students who are both out and not out to come and find support and find like-minded people and who can understand their problems. But yeah, like a lot of the forums this year, the membership has gone down a lot. We've been struggling to get 3 or 4 members sometimes. And I think, we just need to make sure it's being advertised really properly and that people know that they really know it's a safe place to come and that somebody's not going to find out that they've been there. I know we've had problems with people, we've been going into rooms and people have overbooked our rooms, so we've had LGBT plus students going in saying this is LGBT plus forum, it's not, and they can out themselves. So it's making sure people know it's really safe and that they know that they can bring their own agenda points, so it's their issues that we'll be covering.
Thank you, Olivia. Any questions? There's a question from Twitter, Olivia.
Ooh.
Are you thinking of addressing the issue with gender-neutral toilets around campus, and how?
So I'm aware that it's currently in progress. I've heard from the current officer, I know he's been working on it a lot, and he's been giving us updates, and I know there's an idea that they're going to be moving the disabled toilets, not all disabled toilets obviously, but certain disabled toilets to become gender-neutral toilets. So I know that's something that's in the pipeline, and I, of course, will be carrying that on.
Thank you, Olivia. What is the biggest problem facing LGBT plus students in Bradford, according to yourself?
According to myself, I think it's the notion, in my personal opinion, of you never know when it's okay to be out to people. So obviously I'm quite confidently to be out because I'm stood here. But I know talking to other students is they feel they can out with some people but not out with other people. And it's like you can't live a full life if you're forever, trying to hide who you truly are.
Thank you, Olivia. Moving on to your next question. What previous experience are you going to bring to this role, which will be new and refreshing?
Okay, so I've had a lot of experience running events in my last job. I was an intern with a development charity, and my job was to, run events and fundraise, basically. So I'll be bringing that, of course. And I've also, I've been involved in local politics. I ran to be a councillor. I didn't win, but I've been involved in my local Green Party. So I've got a lot of experience, like campaigning and also running events, and hopefully I can merge them two together to make some really good things to happen next year.
Thank you, Olivia. Are there any questions from the floor? None? Okay, so moving on. How will you raise awareness of the LGBT plus role if elected in the next year?
One thing I really want to do is to have something that celebrates the achievements of LGBT plus people, because it can be really easy to be really negative and say all these awful things are happening, but LGBT plus people have done amazing things in the world, and it'd be amazing just to have some sort of celebration for them and for students who who've done amazing things at the uni, and just to really big up what we can do. We can do amazing things.
Thank you, Olivia. The next question is, there's a potential problem of homophobia prevailing around certain communities in Bradford. How will you make sure you can tackle that?
I think it's a big issue to tackle, I mean, in any community. But one thing is to have students who have got the confidence to say, I feel safe to say I'm out, and until we've got students who feel confident to say that, and confident within the LGBT community in the university itself, they won't be confident to go out and say that. But of course it's a big issue, so it's really awareness raising that, you know, we're not so different from everybody else, you know. And just because I love somebody else doesn't mean, yeah.
Thank you, Olivia. We have a question for you from Twitter, which is being written right now, so I'll just move on to the next question. As LGBT plus is a very broad spectrum, how would you make yourself available to everyone seeking help within this liberation?
Yeah, of course, I can only speak for one aspect of LGBT plus, but what I want to have is a forum where we have people from all different communities, so if it's something I can't particularly solve, you know, I want to create a network of confident LGBT plus students who can help me and advise me on issues that, you know, I might not, well, I just won't have the expertise on, because it's not my lived experience.
Thank you, Olivia. There's a question. Topher. Go ahead, Topher.
Hello. One thing I've struggled with this year is the LGBT society and getting more interest in that and people to join it, etc. How would you sort of help with that next year?
Can I start?
Yeah.
Okay. So next year, I do actually want to again split the LGBT society and the LGBT officers role to make separate roles, but that doesn't mean I don't want to support it. And of course, if I know people at Forum, I can say, you know, there's a society here, and it'd be great if we could like run some joint things. And because, you know, it's important to talk about stuff, but it's also important to have fun within the society. So try and like bounce the two things off each other.
Thank you, Olivia. Just to make you aware and like fully inform you that you're not, as the LGBT officer, you're not the president of the LGBT society. Okay. Just to make it clear to you, yeah? Cool. Okay. The question we have from Twitter for you is, what kind of events would you run? Would you consider an asexual awareness week?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I know recently, like, there's been sort of talk about whether asexual is part of LGBT+, but then I don't see why they shouldn't be. And also, I think it's, you know, again, I want to have that celebration event of what LGBT people can do, but I also want to have some awareness-raising events, as because you said, you know, there is some issues around homophobia. So it's finding that balance between serious and, you know, celebratory, and they don't have to be separate things.
Thank you, Olivia. Are there any questions from the floor before I move on to the last question and then take the summation speech? None? Okay, so moving on, your last question. If you were to run for a full-time sabbatical role, whenever, at your time at uni, what position would you run for and why?
So I'd run for women's and campaigns, because I think people assume that, you know, women's issues are all sorted, but they're not, and yeah, I just love campaigning, it's great.
All right, Olivia, you've got 1 minute to do your summation speech. So your 1 minute begins when Sidji's ready. Sidji's ready. Go on.
Okay. So by voting for me, you'll be ensuring that LGBT plus students will truly have their voice heard on campus, and it's the issues that matter most to them that will be addressed. As an officer, I'll be serving the LGBT plus students, and therefore I want to give them the freedom to come to me with the ideas, and my role will mould to their expectations and needs. There's still a long way to achieve complete LGBT plus liberation on campus, so I want to make sure my role can be a real change and be the voice for the LGBT plus students. Vote for me.
That was Olivia Brabazon with her 1 minute of closing speech. Thank you, Olivia. Olivia Brabazon is running for the LGBT plus officer in the current elections. All right, there'll be a 5 minute of break, which will be followed by the community and welfare officer position, which is the full-time officer position. So just listen to the song Phil's going to play now, and we'll be back in about 5 to 10 minutes. Thank you. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back. Can I just request everyone to take their seats? We are about to resume this session. Just a formal announcement before we start. People not here and still want to see or hear the hustings, can you please log into www.rame.co.uk. Others who want to watch live streaming, please log on to www.youtube.com/UBU online. People who want to tweet in their questions, please tweet them on #UBU elections. So moving on, just before we start the full-time position and the last position of today, I just want to make an announcement. The mature students officer unfortunately could not make it for his hustings. Therefore, he will not be having a husting session. It was an unavoidable circumstance. Therefore, we will be cancelling the hustings. So, moving on to the full-time position of Community and Welfare Officer, can I please invite on stage the candidate for Community and Welfare Officer? Hello, Fatima.
Hello.
How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Great.
The elections committee here, we have your predecessor, Sabila Ismail, in the elections committee. We have Anas Magda.
Yep.
We have Siji Akinlusi, your sports officer, who's your deputy chair, and myself, the chair of elections committee.
Yep.
So, are you aware of the format, Fatima?
Pardon?
Are you aware of the format?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll give you 2 minutes for your opening speech.
Yep.
Ready when you are?
Is the time on?
Yes, let's go.
Okay. Hello, guys. My name is Fatuma Sanyang, and I'm running for the Community and Welfare Officer role. So the reason why I chose this role rather than the other roles is because I feel this is more suited to me. I was a secretary for Red Ribbon Society, which is a society that raises awareness about HIV and AIDS. And I've worked with the local organisations in Bradford, such as MESMAC. I've worked alongside the current Community and Welfare Officer, being part of the RAG committee, and as an exec for Red Ribbon. So I do have the experience for community and welfare, and if I do become one, I'd like to have my own RAG and welfare ambassadors, and this is to ensure that I reach out to as many students as possible. Also, I'd like to have my own community and welfare forum. So this is an opportunity where people can come in. If they have any suggestions, ideas, they can bring it in with regards to their welfare. And I will present my report as well, because right now at the moment, if you're not in council, you don't know what the sabbatical officers are up to. So this is an opportunity for me to present what I've been doing for the past months to students and be transparent. Also, I'd like to work with the Women's and Campaigns Officer and other sabbatical officers to ensure that the local community around campus is safe. For example, Great Horton Road. Shazmin said yesterday that there's a £20,000 budget left for harassment on Great Horton Road. Also, I've been involved with anti-harassment campaign with the previous Women's and Campaigns Officer, Smaya.
30 seconds.
30 seconds, okay. And another one that I'd like to do is host more daytime events for students with dependents. I'd like to work with the Students and Dependents Officer to ensure that everyone can attend events, especially the ones that can't come in the evening. And yeah, that's it really.
Thank you. That was Fatuma Sanyang running for Community and Welfare Officer. Just to make a small announcement, she's running in this late One Team One Vision. She is with candidates Zainab Gerbasani for Academic Affairs Officer, Faiz Ilyas for Union Affairs, Shazmin Akhtar for Women's and Campaigns, Lance Jackson for Sports Officer, and Hamza Yusuf for Activities Officer. All right, Fatima.
Yep.
Before we move on to any questions from Twitter or from the floor,
Yep.
the first pre-written question is, why are you running for this position?
Yeah, so like I mentioned in my 2-minute speech, I've had experience in this, not exactly as a community and welfare officer, but I have worked to an extent with the current community and welfare officer. I've been involved with the RAG committee. This is the second year in a row I've been involved with RAG. I've helped out with Swag Week when I was a Red Ribbon exec. And like I said, I've worked with the local community. I've worked with Penny Appeal, I've worked with MESMAC, and I've been involved in campaigns like anti-harassment campaigns, so I do have experience to an extent. However, I am aware that not everything a sabbatical officer does you are aware of, and I'm willing to learn.
20 seconds, Fatima.
Yeah, I'm willing to learn and know where to go. Yeah, that's fine.
Thank you, Fatima.
Thank you.
Before we move on, we have a question from Twitter. What are you going to do for mental health awareness and how are you going to support it?
Yeah, I was expecting that question. So mental health awareness, I will work with the Women's and Campaigns Officer. I will also work with other people like the Advice Centre, Counselling Centre, and ensure that the right events and the right people are available for students. Furthermore, like I said, my welfare forum will be the key. It will be an opportunity for students to come together and come up with their plans, and I'll be working alongside my ambassadors. And my ambassadors, they'll be the one going out there, speaking to people, speaking to their friends and their friends and their friends, and coming with ideas on like what students would like to see and what mental health campaign and what mental health events they'd like to see
20 seconds.
on campus. And also I'd like to bring external speakers as well, because I think it's very useful to bring someone that is going through that particular mental health so students can relate to that individual. So yeah.
Thank you, Fatima. Okay. So the next question we have for you is, what plans do you have to help students with safety on campus and in the community?
Can you repeat that, please?
What plans do you have to help the students with safety on campus as well as in the community?
Yep, so like in my manifesto, I did mention that I will work with the right people to ensure, and the local community, to ensure that Great Horton Road is as safe as it can be. I'll work with the security guards as well and find out what the main issues are on campus and how to improve it. But more so, I'd like to work closely with other sabbatical officers, especially the Women's and Campaigns Officer, because I believe there's an overlap between the community and welfare and the Women's and Campaigns, and I would work alongside them and ensure that I provide the best possible service and safety service for students. And also there's a safety bus that I'd like to promote.
20 seconds.
Thank you. And I'd like to promote that safety bus and ensure that students actually know that there's a safety bus on campus to use. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Fatima. Fatima, we have a question for you from the floor.
Okay.
You've been involved in council as deputy chair
Right.
and as a lay member for a couple of years. You are therefore well aware of governance and policy making.
Mm.
So why did you decide to run for community and welfare instead of union affairs, as your the work you've done in the past is more related to union affairs?
Okay, let me just confirm something. This is my first year being a lay member and a deputy chair. Last year, I was in council because of Society Federation council member. I was there for the societies, not as a governance thing. That has just been happening this year. So the reason why I did not go with the union affairs is because the union affairs role is more backstage. You don't really engage as much with the students, and that's not a role that I would want. I'd want to work directly with the students, and community and welfare will provide that opportunity for me to do that. And also, like I said, I have more experience with the community and welfare aspects.
20 seconds.
Yeah, I've got more experience with the community and welfare aspects than the union affairs role. It's not really something that I would want to go into, but yeah.
Another question from the floor.
Right.
One of the biggest roles of community and welfare officer is to be approachable, very approachable. How will you go about making yourself approachable to students? And you get a minute to answer this question.
That's the question from the floor. Nice. I'd like to think I'm approachable, but clearly not. Like I said, I'll open the forum out for people. I'll allow people to come in, have their say, and also I'll open the office for students, have a drop-in session for students, because there's only so much that you can do. Get involved with society events, get involved with daytime events, get involved with sports events, and just be everywhere and build a relationship with my ambassadors, the green ambassadors, RAG ambassadors, welfare ambassadors, because they will be working with other people. They'll be working with students as well on campus. So if I build a relationship with them, they're more likely to be willing to do their job. And for me personally, I'd be around in the SU. The office will be open, there'll be drop-in sessions, so students want to pop by, pop by.
Thank you, Fatuma. Moving on to the next question. What key issues do you think affect the student welfare? What key issues do you think affect student welfare? And you have a minute to answer that question.
Okay, I think it's mostly people, the students feel ashamed to approach someone with their problem. They probably feel like it's a burden approaching an individual and telling them their issues. So if a student comes up to me with their issues, I will listen to them. I won't try to come up with my own solution or just try to I'll just try to understand them. I'll try to listen to them, understand them, and direct them to the right people. I think the key issue is students just feeling ashamed and feeling like they've got no one to go to and just feel like they have to hold the burden just on their own and have no one to talk to. So, yeah, that's the key issue for me that students face on campus.
Thank you, Fatuma.
Yep.
Are there any questions from the floor? None. Any questions from Twitter, Phil?
Regarding the safety bus, how are you planning to raise awareness about it when the service will not be running next year?
Right, so with the safety bus, I don't have experience with the safety bus. Now, I'll just be totally honest, I don't have experience with the safety bus. However, if it's not running next year, I will be working with the right people to ensure that there's a good alternative for students rather than just completely ignoring and not having any other alternative services for the students. And if there is an alternative service for students, I will be promoting it, putting posters around on campus, using the website more often for students, using my ambassadors more often, and just word of mouth as well, just going around telling people about it, posters everywhere, and yeah, just ensuring that as many students as possible know about this safety bus or whatever alternative service is available for them.
Thank you, Fatuma.
Yep.
Moving on to your next question. How would you deal with sexual awareness on campus, or how would you make it more aware to students?
Okay. So I've worked with Red Ribbon, and Red Ribbon raises awareness about HIV and AIDS. So this isn't something new to me at all. We've put up a stall during Red Week, World AIDS Day to be specific, actually. Giving out condoms, asking people about HIV and AIDS, asking them about how HIV is transferred, trying to find out what they know about HIV, talking to people that are shy to take condoms or talk about talk about sexual health and how to keep yourself safe. So I have done this with Red Ribbon for a whole year, and this is not something new to me at all. I know how to go about with it. I've spoken to local communities, and they've taught us as execs on how to approach people with such a sensitive subject. So yeah, I know what to do, really. I've got previous experience on it.
Thank you, Fatuma.
Yeah.
Again, there's a question from the floor.
So speaking about sexual health, obviously one of the biggest things to tackle is religion and sexual health, because a lot of people don't want to talk about having sex within religion. So how would you go about kind of bringing this to the forefront, but at the same time not making people feel uncomfortable about being open about their sexual activities?
Yeah. So what I will do is create a survey and send it around to students. Find out how much the student population actually feel comfortable talking about sex in public. And if the majority of students are not comfortable, then I will then have I'll book out a little room where students will actually come in, and they will know once they're in that room that everyone is in it for the same purpose. Everyone wants to know the same thing. And because it's private and secluded in a room, they don't have to stand in front of people and talk. They will feel comfortable knowing that the same people that they're in the same room with are the same people that want to talk about this sensitive subject that they wouldn't want to talk about to other people outside. And I definitely will not have any stall around like if students are not comfortable talking about it to me, I'm not going to force them. I'm not going to force them to talk about something that they don't want to do. I'm just going to offer that opportunity for the ones that actually want to come and talk to me about it. I'm going to open the opportunity to have events, book a room out, and people can come in, have a stall. And if
Start upon your
students...
final point, please.
Yep, so if students want to get involved, I will offer it to them. But forcing them to do something they don't want to do, it's not really something that I would get involved in. But yeah.
Thank you, Fatuma. Okay, there's a question from Twitter which I cannot read in Siji's handwriting, so Siji might.
There have been reports of students getting harassed in areas other than Great Alton Road. How do you intend to deal with these issues and problems?
Can you repeat that, please?
There have been reports of students getting harassed in other areas than Great Alton Road.
Yeah.
How do you intend to deal with these other areas and these issues?
Yeah, so like I mentioned in my manifesto, that I will work with the local authority, work with the Women's and Campaigns Officer, work with the local organisations that actually deal with harassment in Bradford. The reason why I keep going on about Great Horton Road is because that is the one closest to us, and that's the one that most people on campus can relate to, because the campus is on Great Horton Road. But I'm not going to have that like a main priority over others. I'm going to be looking at other areas as well and treating it like I would treat Great Horton Road, and have that as a priority as well. So the main thing that I would do is
20 seconds.
Work with the local organisations and work with the other sabbatical officers, and have a campaign on campus where students will actually be aware of what is going on and what is harassment, like what is the definition of harassment, what does it mean to be harassed.
Round up on the final point.
Yeah, so it's just, yeah, raising awareness and having campaigns on campus.
Thank you, Fatuma. Are there any questions from the floor before we move on to the pre-written questions? None? Okay. Fatuma, the question to you is, how would you cope with balancing all the different areas within your role?
All the different areas?
Within the community and welfare role.
Right, okay. So like I said, I am aware that there are some aspects of the job that I've never been exposed to, and I'm prepared to take on the challenge. So what I will do is just don't be afraid to ask for help. Like if I need help, then I'll ask other people that have been in the situation before, other people that have more experienced me. I won't be afraid to ask for help. And also I know that there are other, like my ambassadors that I'll have other members of staff that will be working with me. And if I need any help, or if I need any guidance, if I need any guidance with my job role, I'll ask them out. And I just won't be afraid to ask for help, and I'll just take the challenge as it comes.
Thank you, Fatuma. Okay. Okay. What are your plans to keep mental health on the agenda, as is high up on the agenda this year? What would you do to keep mental health on the agenda at the same priority next year?
Yeah, so like I mentioned before, I will actually utilize the services that are available, i.e. the other people around me, other sabbatical officers, other non-SAB roles, so work with the BME officer to talk about mental health in BME background, work with the Women's and Campaigns to talk about mental health in women, and also just promote, bring external speakers in. They can speak about mental health, they can give their own experience about mental health, and also maybe work with the counselling service so students are actually aware that there's a service available.
20 seconds for Fatuma.
The service is available for them, and work with the advice centre as well. So yeah.
Thank you, Fatuma. Moving on to your next question.
Mm-hmm.
So apart from the welfare aspect, there's a community aspect involved in this role as well.
Yep.
What plans do you have to engage students with the community and getting them to know Bradford better than anything?
Yeah, so I will use the SQM. And so maybe work with the activities officer and have like certain amount of points where if students volunteer in the community or if students do something extraordinary, they'll have more points for the societies, and also invite external organizations in, because I don't think students will be willing to go out there and engage with the local community. But if I bring the local community to them, they're more likely to be engaged, they're more likely to get involved with it. So I'll bring I'll have a day where external organizations will come in, have stalls around, and students can just go around talking to different people and talk about what they do, and just sign up right there and then. So yeah.
Thank you, Fatuma.
Yep.
Okay, your next question is, what support can you give to students who have other circumstances such as children and dependents?
Yeah, so I think I mentioned this with regards to my events that I will be holding. I mentioned earlier in my opening speech that I will be working with the student and dependent officer to ensure that there'll be more daytime events suited for students that cannot make it to evening events. And also I'd work alongside the student and dependent officer to make sure that the campus is more child friendly and students that got dependents are able to balance their time and come to our events and ensure that their student experience is as best as it can be regardless of their circumstances.
Thank you, Fatuma. Okay, your next question is, what innovative ideas do you have to fundraise for RAG next year?
So what fundraising ideas have got?
What innovative ideas for fundraising have you got?
Oh, okay.
Something new.
Something new, yep, sure. The main thing that I'd like to do is have a jollof war sort of thing, where you have, because if you don't know, there's a big fight over who got the best jollof, Ghanaians or Nigerians. So that would be something that I would do. Bring an event where people will come, taste the different jollofs, and then they'll choose which one's the best, and then the winner gets something as a prize. And then that event, I'd like it to go every year, because obviously people are biased towards their own country. But if an external that doesn't know about jollof, that doesn't know about that not Nigerian or Ghanaian, then if they're coming and giving their opinion about what they want, it will be more it will be nice to have a different perspective other than just Ghanaians and Nigerians that are going through this never-ending war of who has the best jollof rice. Yeah.
I see Dami getting happy up there. Hi, Dami. Shout out. Okay. Fatuma?
Yep.
Are there any questions from the floor for Fatuma running for Community and Welfare Officer? None? Okay, cool.
Yay.
Students who have suspended their studies can't access counselling. Students who have suspended studies can't access the university counselling service.
Yep.
How would you help them get support?
Work with the counselling service, find out what other services do they need other than the counselling service in terms of welfare. Do they need to integrate with other students? Do they want to fill their the gap year, if you like? If they want to fill it with volunteering, I'd work with the students, work with Choices for All, and ensure that there's sufficient volunteering opportunities for students. And also I'll just get them involved in whatever we're getting up to, and ensure just help and liaise with the counselling service, and just make sure that the students that are not at uni have the best possible service that they can get despite not being a current student. Yeah.
Thank you, Fatuma, at Media, and the university as well, with RAG.
Yeah. So this is where the other sabbatical officers come in. This is where I liaise with them. I sit with them every sabbatical meeting that we have on a daily basis, talk to them. I've read in someone's manifesto that they want, for sports, that they want to bring up the sports equivalent of the SQM. So I would talk to the sports and ensure if they're going to have that, talk to them, make sure that in the SQM they implement that societies or sports club they work in the local community raising money for RAG, or for the societies it will just be an SQM thing, or I can just
20 seconds.
do like a GoFundMe where it will be for societies rather than individuals, and if a society raises a particular amount of money, then like this year what they're doing is if they raise a certain amount of money, they can then go on skydiving or...
Please round up on your final point.
Yeah, so I'll liaise with the right people that are in more contact with them. And also I'll be in direct contact with the students themselves as well. So it's all about communication at the end of the day, to be honest.
Thank you, Fatuma.
Yeah.
Are there any questions from the floor? Because we're going to move on to the last 2 questions and then to the summation speech. None? Okay. Aleem, have you got a question for the community and welfare candidate? No? Yeah.
So, although a lot of your role will require you attending to the needs of the welfare of the students,
yeah.
The other role is obviously working with the community. And since we have a home-based students officer, how will you work together and with the community and the home-based students officer to better the student experience?
Fatuma, 1 minute.
I am sure I answered a question like that, but I'll answer it again if it needs be. So how will I work?
This question is specifically of how you're going to work with the home-based students officer to enhance
to ensure that students work in the community.
Yeah. You answered how will you specifically work yourself, but
right.
This is about your relationship with the
home-based. Yeah,
home-based
that's absolutely fine. Yeah.
Thank you.
So the home-based officer, I'll sit down with the home-based officer, find out what the plans are, how are they planned on ensuring that home students have the best possible experience, and then I'll implement that with what my plans are to ensure that students get involved with the community, and also I'll try to support the home-based student in any events that they've got. If it's daytime event, evening events, I'll support them. But like I said in my manifesto, I'd like to have more non-alcoholic and daytime events for students that are not available at night time and do not drink alcohol. Yeah.
Hello? Okay. So, where is it? Okay, so considering the SAB restructure is on the cards, which position would you get rid of and why?
Yeah, was expecting that question. Right, if you get rid of women's and campaigns, who's going to be there for women and who's going to be there for the liberation groups? No one. If you get rid of sports officer, who's going to be there for the sports clubs? No one. If you get rid of activities officer, who's going to be there for societies, media and entertainment? No one. If you get rid of academic affairs officer, who's going to be there for students, academia? No one. If you get rid of union of... In fact, does anyone know what the union affairs officer does?
No, we don't.
My point taken.
I have no idea.
Yeah, if you take the union affairs officer, not a lot of students will be impacted. More so, it will just be the sabbatical officers because he's the one in charge of budgets and things like that. But students themselves, they'll be indirectly affected. So I would go with, sorry, Hamza.
For Twitter purposes, she said that Hamza is irrelevant to the union and should leave. Just for Twitter purposes.
What are you going to do with Ami's husband? Sorry about that. Okay, so this year we have made a segment in which we introduce scenarios.
Yep.
You're just going to be given a scenario in which, and you need to tell how would you act in that situation.
Mm-hmm.
So the scenario for you is, considering a mature student comes to see you and their student finance hasn't arrived, they cannot afford to pay for childcare. How would you support them in such a situation?
A mature student who has not got a student finance yet.
And can't pay for childcare.
Right.
How would you support them in such a situation?
Okay. So, That's a tricky situation. I will work with the member of staffs in the union, work with Andy, Deborah, and come up with a plan of how to support this student that is in such an unfortunate situation. Speak to the student with dependent as well as the mature officer, bring them in, because after all, they do look after them. So I won't do this, carry on this situation on my own. I'll bring other people in, sit the individual down and actually tell him the possible solutions that we can come out of it, and then he or she can then decide what is best suited, what solution is best suited for them. But whatever happens, it will be confidential.
Thank you, Fatuma.
Yeah.
Moving on to your summation speech. That was the end of the questions session.
Yeah.
Fatuma,
Yeah.
you have 1 minute to do your summation speech, please.
Yeah.
So, go on.
Right, so basically, when you go to your doctors, right, you don't know your doctors, but yet you trust them, right? You expect them to know what they're doing. When you go in a flight, you don't know the pilots, but you expect them to know what they're doing. So I'm in that situation as well. I've never been a community and welfare officer, but I'm asking you, as members of the student union, to trust me to take care of your welfare. So vote for Fatuma for community and welfare. Thank you.
Thank you. That was Fatuma Sanyang running for Community and Welfare Officer. On the ballot sheet, you will see another name, Ron, reopened for nomination. Fatuma, thank you so much. Okay, so that was quick today, that was early, and that brings us to the end of today's hosting ceremony. Tomorrow, we have the council lay members, followed by the disabled students officer, followed by academic affairs officer, which will be followed by union affairs, which will be followed by sports officer. So a big day tomorrow. Make sure you guys are here. Fill this hall up. The 3 full-time sabbatical positions under contention tomorrow. So make sure you guys are here. Same time, same place, 6 p.m. I'll see you guys soon. And the people who are here, could we just request them helping up in packing the chairs that are here? That'll be grateful. And thank you. See you soon.